how do we integrate CSE into the K-12 basic education curriculum? And the last question to be answered with this presentation is, what is the direction of the CSE? Okay, and then the first thing that we have to ask about ourselves for a moment to ponder, what do I know about sexuality education? Sige nga po, for your participation, pwede po bang makichat sa ating chat box, what do you know about sexuality education? Can you give me one word that speaks about sexuality education? Your thought about this thing. Okay. So ngayon, okay, so sige po, later on po, I will check your responses doon sa chat box po natin or yung nasa YouTube. Makakapag-comment kaya yung ating participants for them to write down a thought about the sexuality education. Siguro po, may naisip na tayo at may nasulat. Thank you po for working with me with this thing, with this question. Okay, so let's have, okay, when we say comprehensive sexuality education, this is the CSE is a curriculum-based process of teaching and learning about the cognitive, the emotional, the physical, and the social aspects of sexuality. So, anong alam ng ating mga mag-aaral o ano ang nararamdaman nila? Lalo na po yung mga senior, yung mga high school students natin, di ba? Alam natin, so last Sunday, naglalakad ako, may nakita ako, Diyos ko, siguro grade 7 pa lang yon pero hindi naman po sa Galvez. Na ang liit pa nila, pero may ka-partner na, may holding hands na. And then later on, nasa public, they kiss each other. So ano po yung sa isipan natin? At ano po ang gagawin natin bilang mga teachers? Na knowing that this young age are having their perhaps a mutual understanding with the opposite sex. Okay, so that has the impact to their physical. Alam ko naman po na tayo ay, lalo na yung mga nagkaroon ng kapartner na sa buhay, there is really a physical impact about the sexuality of a person and then our social element. So sabi nga po, ito yung modern times natin, parang napaka-open-minded na ng ating mga kabataan. So, kung magiging open-minded sila with things which is not guided, so this is the purpose of the comprehensive sexuality education, that we will be guiding them, we will be guiding our learners to the right perspective about the sexuality. Okay, so characteristics of the CSE. Okay, scientifically, this is scientifically accurate po. There are studies, there are data, there are researches that prove that when we introduce the sexual education appropriately, there will be a big impact and a big, we are expecting a big change for the invading culture of our young learners nowadays. And then, okay, definitely we cannot deny the fact that this is an age and developmentally appropriate aspect. Kasi lahat naman po tayo, okay, sabi daw po, we have the universal experience of growing up. And even in terms of the perspective towards the sexuality. So, kaya ngayon pa lang, at their very young age, so ang sabi po sa curriculum natin, from the kindergarten to the senior high school, we have to provide them guidance. And then, okay, that's the design, that's our department had designed a curriculum-based, okay, that will be developed, that should be developed, which is included in our MELC and VOW in our respective learning area. Then, comprehensive sexuality is the sexual and the productive anatomy and physiology, the puberty and menstruation. Dito po natin, ito po, tinatalakay naman na natin. Sa ngayon lang po, isasaayos natin how we can deliver it accordingly. And then, the reproduction, the pregnancy and childbirth, the STIs, including the HIV and the AIDS. Alam po naman natin, so, when there is a sexual transmission, okay, lalo na sa mga young age natin, the possibility of the health problem. So, kaya po, this is a timely program of our department. A timely design for the curriculum implementation. Another characteristics of the CSE po is this is based on human rights approach. Okay, the respect for mankind. Naalala ko tuloy, sabi ni Mahatma Gandhi, the way we treat animal is the way we treat people. Pero hopefully, tayo naman po human beings are higher creation of God. So we have the power to control things. Then, based on gender equality, narinig ko po kanina habang nag-activity, gender equality, mula sa ating PWG. And then, culturally relevant. So, alam po naman natin, the adjustments of our young age population to adapt the culture of the different countries. And so, sana well-guided sila. Then, transformative. Okay, hopefully at this program, at this implementation, there will be a big change in the lives and in the perspective of our young learners. And of course, to be able to develop life skills needed to support the healthy choices. Ability to reflect, okay, lalo na po sa mga senior high school natin and junior high school, make informed decision, communicate, negotiate effectively, and demonstrate assertiveness. Kaya yung mga outputs na kanilang ginagawa, okay, in their critical thinking skills, they have to show up what is their stand to sexuality education. Okay, so yun nga po yung guidelines na nabigay ko na kanina sa inyo. So, nagkaroon din po ng DepEd Order number 031 series of 2018, which is the policy guideline and the implementations of the comprehensive sexuality education. And thus, the urgency to implement the CSE. So why? Why we have to implement this? Because of the increasing early pregnancy, the violence among young people, the increasing incidence of HIV among young people. Ako po'y nakaranas na makapag-observe doon sa isang HIV facility ng Philippine General Hospital. Nakakashock po kasi mga bata talaga ang pasyente doon, mga teenagers. Kasi po kaya ba't ako napunta doon kasi yung health problem ko is related to blood. My blood has to be tested. At kahalubilo po ako ng mga HIV pa patient. At nakakalungkot po talaga, mga batang-bata sila. Sabi ko, they don't deserve a health problem related to HIV. Okay, now the challenge to educators is to address the needs of the learners for health and protection through education. Talagang tayo mga teachers ay magiging doctors na rin, magiging health nurses na rin. Kaya nga po tayo ay talagang frontliners of all the programs. Alala ko tuloy, ititrain din doon teacher para mag-inject ng vaccine. So talagang napakataas talaga ng pagtingin ng ating community, ng ating government sa mga teachers. Ano po? Kaya I love DepEd, I love to be a teacher. Ano po? Okay. And then provide comprehensive and appropriate information in the sexuality and reproductive health. Then, provide learners with the life skills to help them develop self-confidence, self-esteem, and enable them to deal with the complex changes happening in them during the adolescence stage. So, ang dami po nating challenges at ito idagdag po natin sa ating challenges. Talagang, kung dati puro nature adventure, ngayon po ay educational adventures ang ating gagawin. So, CSE, so ito po ay nabanggit ko na kanina. Yun po yung DepEd Order number 31, series of 2018, hindi ko pa pala po ito nabanggit. Okay, ngayon pa lang po babanggitin. So, which is the scope of which is the policy shall apply all learners for public and private elementary, junior, and senior high school and of learning centers for special education and alternative learning system. Kaya po pati yung ALS and the laboratory school of state universities and colleges and the local universities. Okay, so, and even the indigenous learning system and the madrasa education program shall integrate. So, ibig po sabihin, walang exempted. To have the sexuality education standards, the core topics, the core values. Mamaya po sa breakout, ito po ma-encounter ninyo ito. The core life skills in math and science, edukasyon sa pagpapakatao, ESP, araling panlipunan, and personality development. Ito po. Mamaya ka mapagod. Okay, so the comprehensive sexuality education framework. So, yun po yung involved natin, the learning areas. Kayo po yun, mga kasama ko dito sa YouTube and dito sa Google Meet for live streaming of this rollout. Yan, kayo po ang napakahalagang teachers para po sa implementation nitong Sexuality Education Framework. Inuulit ko po, the MAPE, P and Health, Araling Panlipunan, Edukasyon sa Pagpapakatao, Science, Personality Development, the kinder teachers and the SPED teachers are involved in this. So, we have the core content and standards. So, 7 concepts po natin. We will be, the focus of which are the human body and the human development. So sabi nga po ni Ma'am Prima kanina, bakit ba hindi natin matawag ng tamang salita? Dati sabi natin, bird, ano pa? Flower. So, but that is not a part of the body, di po ba? So we have to stand corrected on that. The personhood, pero hindi rin mabanggit, no? may pagka-conservative po si Ma'am Pabico ng konti. laking ano po kasi ako laking countryside. Okay, the personhood and values, the health relationships, okay, sexuality and sexual behaviors, the sexual and reproductive health, personal safety, gender culture, and human rights. So these are the concepts of the content of the CSE. And then the values that we have to develop among our learners and we have to influence them as well is their self-knowledge, the self-respect, okay, the self-protection, non-judgment, bawal judgmental po, the respect, concern for others, the empathy, positive attitude towards sexuality, responsibility, independence, and okay, with the life skills naman po that we really have to guide our learners are analysis of the external influences. Okay, no matter how we take care of our students, of our learners, of our children, there is an external influence. But then they have to analyze. Okay, then the accessing authoritative information, the effective communication, responsible decision-making, self-management, goal-setting, advocacy for others, and, of course, the changing life. Okay, and then, so, parang baligtad po ang pagkabasa ko, arrow up pa. Sige na po, patapusin niyo na po ako. Okay, sana po hindi pa kayo natutulog dyan, pero kung may coffee po kayo, just take a sip and enjoy the Jollibee treat ng ating PWG. Nitreat po nila ang sarili nila. The curriculum support system. Okay, we have the teachers, okay, the material facilities and equipment, the ICT environment. Maraming salamat po ICT coordinators, the assessment, the school leadership. Thank you po, school heads, for leading our team. This, okay, and then of course we are instructed from our central office through the technical assistance and the region downward to the division. And of course, okay, we have the partnership, which I stated to you a while ago. Those are the agencies that can help us implement the CSE. And of course, huwag natin pong kalilimutan sa lahat po ng mga programa natin is the monitoring and evaluation. Did we achieve the target? Because as teachers, we are expected to act professionally with integrity, excellence in the name of service. So ito po yung conceptual framework ng CSE. Minimum core content for sexuality education in K-12 basic education. Then, to provide learners with, from kindergarten to grade 12 with age and development appropriate, culturally relevant, approach to teaching about sexuality and relationship by providing scientifically accurate, realistic, and non-judgmental information. Another goal po ng CSE is intended to prevent the unhealthy consequences such as teen pregnancy, sexuality transmitted infection, transmission of human immunodeficiency, or the virus. Okay, talaga po ito yung mga minor, parang dahil nandiyan na, nag-i-exist na yung mga problema, okay, huwag naman po sana tayong maging, yung anong tawag doon sa term, na immune na doon sa mga issues na ito. There is really a thing to address to, and that education is an aid to help them. Next po, ang aim of the CSE enhance the overall wellness of the Filipino adolescents, the physical, the mental, the emotional, the social, and the spiritual. So while they are growing with knowledge and exploring the wisdoms of the world, they should also be aware of we should also be aware how to take care of their this aspect, the physical, the mental, the emotional, the social, and of course, the spiritual aspects of the Filipino adolescents. Then, contribute to better learning outcomes, reduce dropout rate. Alam po naman natin na isa sa mga nagiging dahilan minsan ng pagpigil nila sa pag-aaral is to stop schooling because of the yung mga cases ng pregnancy cases natin or the abuse, the sexually abuse. Wala tayong magawa. Minsan kahit extend natin bilang guro ang ating pagmamahal sa kanila, but then, okay, alam naman natin na kapag naging victim ng early pregnancy, yung mentioned physical, mental, emotional, and social aspect is also affected. Okay, kaya maganda po yung devotion natin, daily devotion, because that reminds us na yung spirituality natin. Okay, and then increase completion rate, and then improve the quality of learning. So, napakasarap pong maging mabuhay ng smooth ang buhay, na walang agam-agam dahil ang problema ay ngayon pa lang nagkakaroon na ng realization through the education, proper orientation. Ensure that adolescents have access to adequate and appropriate information and the healthcare education. Okay, then address the reproductive health concerns of adolescents. Naalala ko dati sabi, ang DepEd na mamimigay ng condom for the students, ay kasi minsan yung mga media, makapaglabas nila ng issue just to win the audience, kung ano-ano na ang nababanggit. So, but all the practices will undergo the proper process bago po ito maging issue. And then, of course, so, alam po naman natin, the risky behaviors that may cause damaging and long-term consequences. And of course, promote the healthy and responsible sexual and social behavior among students. So, responsible sexuality and social behaviors. Okay? Yan. Ito pa po yung aim ng CSE, develop mature and responsible children and young adolescents imbued with desirable health values, which can assist them in making rational decisions that can lead to satisfying, productive, and quality life. Okay, di ba, minsan napapansin natin, may mga parents na tuwang-tuwa, bata pala yung anak, hindi pa partner na sa isang opposite sex. Okay, bata pa yung sa aming sa kabinti po yung itinutuya na, yung itinitis na with an age. Okay, so does it give a proper impact to the learners? So yung education natin will guide them too. Okay, provide teachers with a resource material for developing life skills such as decision making and problem solving relative to the adolescents' reproductive health. So kaya po mamaya sa breakout, bibigyan po kayo ng mga guidelines. Yung content standard po, inilayout na sa atin ng DepEd. Yung performance standard, nilayout na po through the MELC. And then, yung sample lesson exemplar po na ginagawa ng ating mga teachers. And then, enable teachers to integrate the key concepts and messages on reproductive health concerns across the curriculum wherever this can be done most appropriately. So, yan po yung target ng CSA. Administrators and educators to be reflective, flexible, creative, innovative, and their facilitations of the teaching and learning process further disinstitutionalize the CSA. Kaya isa na po siyang institution in the Department of Education. Yes, when say institution, there is a proper planning, there is a design, there is, the design classroom activity and school activities. Okay. Ano po ang responsibility ng DepEd through the appropriate and relevant units? So, sa central office, ito na po, formulations of the policy, develop a set of CSE competencies, ensure the minimum standard on CSE, design and conduct national CSE, lead the development of learning resources, with the partnership of the DOH, the PAPCOM, the DSWD, the UNEDA, the NYC, the Philippine Women Commission, the World Health Organization, the United Nations, so and the United Nations Population Fund. Okay. Next, okay, the duties and responsibilities naman po ng Bureau of Learner Support Services, so coordinate with the BCD in the development of CSE, provide technical assistance, so baka po sooner, meron na din po mga field visit and technical assistance na ipoprovide sa atin ang DepEd in terms of the CSE implementation. And then activate and mobilize youth organization in all public and private schools, including laboratory schools. Okay, so kaya talaga pong anywhere. Sa region naman po, the Curriculum and Learning Management Division or the CLMD will adapt, institutionalize, and contextualize the national policy of and framework of the CSE. And of course, facilitate the integration. Kung sabihin talaga, mamomonitor. At inaasahan po that the contextualized learning resources, we will have it for the second quarter. Kaya po talagang habol po sa panahon itong ating training na ito. Okay, dahil dapat ngayong second quarter, all of us, all schools are doing the implementation of the CSE. And then conduct the regional training on CSE-related programs and projects. So baka mamaya po may mga pa-contest na din, okay, may mga competitions na rin at researches po for the teachers. Okay, so sa division naman po, ensure the implementation. At meron po nga, sabi nga po ni ma'am, okay, na meron po tayong 5 education program supervisor in charge of the CSA implementation. So sa science po natin, si Ma'am Redelia Vista, sa Araling Panlipunan, si Ma'am Lucy Pagalanan, sa Values Education, si Ma'am Ana Reblora, sa MAPE, si Ma'am Judith Clement, curriculum integration across. So integration po, wala, sabi nga po ni Ma'am, walang separate subject for CSE. But from time to time, there should be an integration. Kaya magiging bahagi na ng lesson planning natin. Okay, so science, AP, and other learning areas, CSE. Kaya po one time, Eva, pag tayo nag-observe, hahanapan natin sila ng CSE lesson. Ano, Ma'am Narmi sa MAPE. Include CSE programs and projects. Yan, ang ating pong SIP, most of the SIP po ng mga school heads matatapos ngayon 2021. So baka po sa susunod nating SIP, maging bahagi na po para mayroong allotment of resources and then programs and activities designed with our school improvement plan. Okay? Then initiate and conduct PSE related classroom action researches, field studies, and other data collection procedures articulated in the SIP through the school publication and newsletter. Okay. Naalala ko tuloy yung isang paaralan. Nag-issue ng publication. Tapos, ang issue ay yung student na ang title ay isa ka bang pagkakamali? Ano? Okay, pero yun po, that is subject for a careful issuances of the issue, okay, of the publication. Then utilize the contextualized CSE learning resources, include CSE in the conduct of the school learning action cell or the Slack session. So, kaya po yung sa LAC po natin, doon po tayo nakaka-formulate ng mga plano how to solve the problem. So, ano po ang role ninyo natin as teachers, implementers, the main implementers of the CSE. Ano po naman ang role ng health providers? Okay, they will, kasi may mga technicalities na hindi naman natin alam. Okay, so we can have the health providers to sustain the additional information. Parang ngayon din po nagaganap ang health symposium yata ng region, webinar ng region. Kaya po yung ating ibang school heads na sa webinar po ng region. And then the role of the parents, guardians, and families. So, sana po with us, through our initiative, through our assistance, okay, the increase of parents to child communications about sexuality, promotion of safety and well-being of children and the youth. Curriculum, why we have to integrate? Okay. Alam po naman natin, the integrative teaching mirror, the real world. And the real world is not divided into disciplines. Okay, so talaga pong one, we are one, and all of us are one. should be one. Integrative teaching provides connection among subjects, areas so that students can better understand that their learning has application to real life, that learning is not just isolated bits of facts in a vacuum. So, sana nga po ang totoong learning ay totoong magawa, ang totoong pag-iingat sa sarili ay magawa ng ating mga mag-aaral at ang tunay na karunungan ay magawa nila in real life so as with the guidance of the teachers. And then, the integrative teaching can help teachers surmount. Nako, ito na po. Talagang tayo po ay tagagiya para masolusyonan ang mga problema ng ating bansa. And so itong CSE po na design so that the problem of the overcrowded curriculum can be addressed in a well-designed program. Okay, so the core life skills po, so ang ating pong ma-integrate sa ating, may share sa ating mga bata is the self-awareness, the empathy, the effective communication, the interpersonal relation skills, the decision-making, the problem-solving, the creative thinking, the critical thinking, coping up with emotions, coping up with stress, and then the entrepreneurial skills. Ito po yung inaasahan natin na may share natin with our learners. Okay, so life and skill scope and sequence chart. So skills themes sa age 1, as a year 1, which is for the age 5 to 6, abuse and safety. Okay, para sa skills, so self-awareness naman and empathy. Who am I? So ano ba ako? Okay, so then, the empathy, how to show I care. Communication, interpersonal skills, I say hello, yes or no. So, dapat matuto ang ng yes. Bakit ba yes at bakit ba no? Dapat maintindihan nila yon. Hindi in between. And then, interpersonal, I am a group member of what? So, decision making, what I choose, what I decide when I go to the road. Okay, and then, how to solve the problem. My friend pushed me. Nako. Okay, so, di ba? The friendship influence. Okay, so para po yung mga bata, hindi lang nakukasaan ang tawag doon sa mga, yung sa Facebook na binabasa, namang e-book, ayan, hindi nagbabasa pero nakikita natin sa Facebook, di ba? Pag nag-scan, may mga issues doon. So, paano sila mag-guide kung wala tayo? And then, critical thinking, things that makes me feel good. Okay, is that good for me? Yung gagawin ba nila? And then coping up with emotions. So hopefully, they will recognize proper emotions and I lost my mom in the market. So yung stresses nila ay makukope up nila.
Matutunan na 2 milyon pong kababaihan ang manganganak at 214,000 po dito ay hindi pinlano. Ano po? At ayon sa PAPCOM, 10 bahagdan ng edad 20 pababa po ay bahagi ng paglobo ng ating populasyon, pagkakaroon ng pagbubuntis. At ang mga teenagers sa edad 15 to 19 ay mas tataas pa ang pangangailangan sa family planning. At kung titingnan natin ang edad na ito ay mga nasa edad ng junior high school at senior high school. Kaya naman, napapanahong pag-usapan at talagang kinakailangan natin talakayin ang comprehensive sexuality education. Ano po? So, tinawag siyang sex education noong panahon ni Pangulong Marcos. Tinawag rin siyang teen wellness, okay? At ngayon ay tinatawag natin siyang comprehensive sexuality education to encompass sexuality and other pertinent topics that must be included on the well-being of our adolescents. Ano po? So, hindi lamang siya sex education per se, but it is about sexuality and the holistic development of our learners. At ito ay sa pamamagitan rin, ang ating comprehensive sexuality education ay nabuo sa pamamagitan ng ating 24 experts, sa pamamagitan ng PCPD, PA, likhaan, noong 2014. At mula rito ay nagkaroon sila ng estratehiya upang buuin ang mga kinakailangan para matukoy natin ano-ano ang mga kasanayan na dapat na mahango at ma-develop sa ating mga guro at gayon din sa mga mag-aaral na dapat matutunan mula dito sa ating CSE. And the comprehensive sexuality education standards were actually proposed by the Likhaan through the Philippine Center for Population and Development or PCPD and then the UNFPA of course. Kaya tayo nagkaroon ng mas malinaw na direksyon, ano-ano ang mga competencies na kailangan nating mabigyang buhay sa pamamagitan ng ating classroom instruction. At naririyan po yung mga tao sa likod ng pagbubuo ng ating CSE standards. Nandiyan po si Ma'am Rosalie Masilang, kasama po ang supervisor po from Central Office. We have also Sir Jerry Calsus. We have Dr. Ann Quizon, Dr. Ellen Daliponggit, Dr. Melinda Rivera, Yusek Dina Ocampo, and Yusek Alberto Bunjon. Sila po ang naging bahagi ng pagbubuo ng ating CSE standards na ngayon nga ay nakikita natin na umaabot na sa mga paaralan and hopefully ay aabot na sa ating mga classroom instructions. So ang tanong sa atin is, when is the right time? Kailan ba dapat na ituro ito o pag-usapan ito? Makikita po natin ang title po ng picture sa kabila. Ito po ay mula kay Genaro Cruz, isang manunulat, Palangka awardee. Ako ay may TP. At sinasabi nga po niya na nakasanayan na kasi nating mahiya sa usapin ng bahaging ito ng ating katawan. At kapag binabanggit natin ang titi, puke, suso, na para bang may mali. Na para bang bastos. Ngunit, mas pipiliin natin tawagin siyang flower. Na meron naman talagang tamang katawagan. At ano lamang ang sinasabi ni Genaro Cruz, sa murang edad pa lang, katulad ng pagtuturo natin ng mata, ng bibig, ng ilong, ng taenga, ang titi at puke ay dapat na malaman ng bata na ito ang katawagan sa mga bahaging ito. Dito po yan nagsisimula sa pagtukoy sa mga bahaging katawan sapagkat sa pamamagitan ng pagtukoy na ito ay mapapangalagaan niya ang mga bahaging ito kanyang katawan. Kung paano niya iniingatan ang kanyang mata, ang kanyang bibig, ang kanyang ilong, ay dapat na maging ganun din ang pag-iingat niya sa kanyang reproductive organ o tatawagin natin titi o pepe. Ganun din naman ang suso sa mga kababaihan. So ulitin natin yung salitang yon habang nakikinig kayo sa akin. Ulitin natin ang salitang titi, pepe, suso. Wala pong bastos dito. At paulit-ulit nating sasabihin na ito ang mensahe ng CSE. We have to desensitize ourselves sa mga usaping ito sapagkat sa panahon na may naaabuso sila sapagkat hindi nila matukoy ang likas na katawagan sa bahaging ito ng kanilang katawan. Hinipo ang pepe, pero hindi nila masabi na nahipo ang pepe nila. Bakit? Kasi ano ang turo sa bahay? Hindi dapat ito tawagin o banggitin sapagkat ito ay bastos. Tapos na po ang panahon na bastos ang pagtingin natin dito. Napapanahon na baguhin natin. At upang maisalba natin ang mga kabataan na biktima ng karahasan at pang-aabuso sa pamamagitan pa lang ng pagsasanay na pagtawag sa bahagi ito ng kanyang katawan. Okay? So what is entry point approach? Maganda rin pag-usapan sapagkat sa CSE standards, ginamit natin ang tinatawag na entry point approach. And entry point approach is an approach to learning, a structure for designing curricula rather than a particular curricular vehicle. So meaning to say, we have naturally integrated or blended a particular competency, a particular discipline within a particular topic where it is appropriate. Okay po? So yun yung punto natin doon sa entry point. Dapat likas, hindi pilit na ipinasok ang paksa at ito yung likas na pinag-uusapan sa disiplina o asignaturang tinutukoy natin. At ang ideya ng entry point, ito po ay nanggaling kay Howard Gardner mula sa The Unschooled Mind. So 1991 pa lang ay meron na po tayong ideya ng entry point approach na siyang ginamit na po ng kagawaran ng edukasyon para maipasok ang mga kakaiba na curriculum. What are the guiding principles for developing the standard? So we have to respond to the current Philippine situation where we see that there are a lot of cases on adolescent pregnancy, unplanned pregnancy, violence, etc. So marami po tayo kinakaharap, including drug abuse and substance abuse. Kasama yon. Minsan nagiging behikulo ito para maging biktima ng karahasan, sexual man o physical ang isang tao. Po, based on research and authoritative evidence, the UNESCO, the FOSE, or the Future of Sex Education, and the World Health Organization in Europe, ano po ang sabi nila? Standards provide clear, consistent, and straightforward guidance on the essential minimum core content for sexuality education that is developmentally and age-appropriate for students in grades K, so from kindergarten to grade 12. So straightforward, consistent, clear. So there are competencies that are repetitive in nature. Why? Kasi po ang gusto natin ay paulit-ulit ang mensahe nang sa gayon ay paulit-ulit silang ma-remind tungkol sa mga kasanayan po, at kaalaman na dapat na maibahagi sa pamamagitan ng CSE. It is developmentally and age-appropriate. So, ibig sabihin, hindi natin ituturo sa kindergarten ang paggamit ng condom at contraceptives kasi developmentally and age-appropriate. Ibig sabihin, magsisimula tayo sa pagtukoy sa bahaging katawan, pag-iingat, ano yung bad touch at good touch, hanggang sa lumawak ang kanyang kaalaman, papunta sa sexualidad, pagkilala sa sarili, sa kanyang sexual identity, sa kanyang gender identity, gender orientation. Yan. So, mula po sa pagsasanay natin sa kindergarten hanggang sa grade 12 ay mabubuo natin ano yung prinsipyo na nais nating makamit doon sa comprehensive sexuality education. Now, the minimum standards, of course, this is actually the floor of learning objectives. Ibig sabihin, ito ay mga kasanayan na dapat ay maitugma natin at makamit natin sa pamamagitan ng pagtuturo ng ating mga asignatura. And basically, the objectives, the content, and methodologies must be designed to affect the basic knowledge, attitude, and behavior desired while respecting cultural sensitivities and the situation of teachers. Yan. Ano? So, sapagkat sa Pilipinas, hindi naman po Katoliko lamang ang mga Pilipino, may mga kapatid rin tayong nasa pananampalatayang Islam na dapat ay irespeto natin ito. The LGBT community, the women empowerment, that's included also. We are looking forward with gender equality. So, dapat ay makita natin ang lahat ng kultura, no? Ang lahat ng uri, yung mga tinatawag nating diverse culture, and the individual differences must be recognized. Yeah. For teachers, it is meant to provide clear, consistent, and straightforward guidance on the essential minimum core content for sexuality education that is appropriate for the age and development level of students in grades K to 12. So meaning to say, this will guide us on which particular topic must we integrate on our subject, okay? Or the key stages that we need to focus on. And the proposed functions, yan, provide accurate information about topics that stir the curiosity of children and young people, okay? And provide children and young people with opportunities to explore values, attitudes, norms concerning sexual and social relationships. Yung mga bata, nagkukumpara sila. Bakit si Jose ay may titi? Bakit si Ana ay may pepe? No? At kapag yan ay umabot naman na sa senior high school, ang tanong nila ay napupunta na sa masturbation, erection, no? Nagiging tanong din nila minsan ang paksa tungkol sa orgasm. So marami, including the G-spot, na alam na rin nila, napakalawak ng nagiging paksa natin. At bilang guro, ano, responsibilidad natin na sagutin ito, no, sa intelihenteng paraan. At hindi natin ito dapat tingnan bilang kabastusan sapagkat ito ay mga pagbabagong nagaganap sa mga mag-aaral na dapat sana ay matulungan natin sila mamaunawaan ito. At hindi tingnan bilang isang bagay na bastos at isang paksa hindi dapat pag-usapan. Education in the K-12 curriculum. So the CSE curriculum standards, this was already mentioned by Ma'am Pabico earlier, that it should adapt a grade level, age, and development appropriate teaching and evaluation approach, which corresponds to the current grade levels in the K-12 enhanced basic education. So yan yung sinasabi natin, age and development appropriate. Kailan natin dapat simulang ituro, ang tungkol sa sexualidad? Actually, mula doon sa CSE standard, kindergarten pa lang, tinuturuan na natin siya. Magsisimula tayo sa pagkilala sa mga bahagi ng katawan, paano ingatan, sapagkat ito ay bahagi ng sexuality education. At hindi lamang parte yung reproductive health organ ang tinutukoy natin dito. There are other topics na maaari natin tan. At mamaya po ay ipapaliwanag ko po sa inyo as we go on the presentation. May mga iba pang mas malawak na paksa na tutukoy sa knowledge, skills, and attitudes na dapat focus ng teachers. Now, in line with the K-12 key stage standards, CSE contents and learning competencies are developed where the learning outcomes are expected to precede anticipated via psychosocial milestones by about 2 years. So, ibig sabihin, sinisimulan natin ngayon at eventually magkakaroon na po ito ng epekto sa ating mga mag-aaral. Itong tinatawag natin comprehensive sexuality education. And we anticipate that they will recognize differences, they will also celebrate uniqueness sapagkat ang bawat isang mag-aaral ay unique. At dapat na makita rin nila iyon sa kanilang sarili sa pamamagitan ng comprehensive sexuality education. Ito na po yung tinutukoy ko kanina. What are the core topics and subtopics? So we have the human body and human development. The human body is not only about the human parts or the human body parts, but it is also about the sexual and reproductive body, the human development and reproduction. So yung pangkalahatang pag-unlad ng isang mag-aaral. The personhood, it includes the values and norms. Dapat tingnan natin yung mga pagpapahalagang nakapaloob, the norms, the peer influence. Paano ba nai-influensyahan ng ating mga kabataan? Maganda na tingnan din natin ito sapagkat sa panahon ng adolescence, ay nagiging malakas ang peer pressure. So dapat ay ma-address din ito. Healthy relationship. Ano po ba yung mga healthy relationships na yan? It could be personal relationship, it could be family relationship, it could be about friendship, it could be about romantic relationships. At kapag pumapasok ang romantic relationship, hindi nawawala yung tinatawag nating mga sexual acts or romantic acts. Kasama na rito yung paghalik, either sa pisngi, sa labi, paghawak kamay, pagdampi ng kamay sa iba't ibang bahagi ng katawan. That's included. Kasi nga, that's a romantic relationship. At gusto natin, i-refocus natin ang kabataan na okay yung relationship, a romantic relationship is okay for as long as you know your limitations and your responsibility. Ito yung key message ng CSE sa atin when it comes to healthy relationships. What about sexuality and sexual behavior? It includes the life cycle, the sex, and sexual behavior. Okay? Minsan, tutukuyin natin, normal ba ang masturbation? Minsan, nararamdaman ng bata na may urge siya. Anong gagawin niya? Wet dreams, or nocturnal emissions. Minsan, natatakot ang bata. Menstruation, that's also part of sexuality and sexual behavior. Ano yung nagiging response niya nung isang babae sa regla? Iba umiiyak, natatakot. So we have to help our students. Sexual and reproductive health. Pumapasok dito yung early pregnancy, the sexually transmitted infections, and the HIV/AIDS. Kasama po ang paksang ito. Na dapat ay mabigyan pansin din natin sapagkat, sabi nga, malaki talaga ang porsyento ng kabataan na nagiging biktima ng STIs at HIV/AIDS. Nakakalungkot na sa murang edad ay magkakaroon sila, no, sapagkat alam natin na may malaking epekto ito psychologically. Pero naririto ang CSE para tulungan ang ating mga mag-aaral, ang ating mga guro on how to particularly educate and to address the concerns of our students when it comes to STIs and HIV. Now, personal safety, ito na yung pagtukoy natin, privacy and bodily integrity, paano natin iniingatan ang ating pangangatawan, gender-based violence and bullying. Issue rin ito, okay? May mga kabataan na grade 4 pa lang ay talaga namang very prominent tayo ng kanilang suso at tinutokso sila ng kanilang kaklase. You know? So, issue ito dapat ay hindi gamitin sa pamamagitan ng bullying or sa violence ang mga bahaging katawan. Okay? O ang mga bahagi ng ating katawan. Gender, culture, and human rights. Of course, we are looking forward with gender equality, media and sexuality, and human rights. No, na dapat sana kilalanin ng CSE bilang isang karapatang pantao. Kaya kung ito ay karapatang pantao, nakatuon tayo sa dignidad, at kung nakatuon tayo sa dignidad, dapat ito ay isulong, pangalagaan. Hindi lang ng mga paaralan, kundi ng pamahalaan. So these are the CSE core topics and subtopics. So we have the human body, ito yung tinalakay ko kanina. Human body and human development, personhood, healthy relationships, sexuality and sexual behaviors, sexual and reproductive health, personal safety, gender, culture, and human rights. 777 po yan. Ano po? At ang tunguhin natin ay para kanilang matutunan yung self-respect, self-protection, respect for others, non-judgment, concern for others, responsibility, positive attitude towards sexuality. You see? So hindi lamang tungkol sa sexualidad, hindi lang tungkol sa mga masiselang bahagi ang comprehensive sexuality education. But, ito ay pangkalahatang paglago at pag-unlad ng isang tao. Kaya nga may self-respect, self-protection. Ano po? Responsibility, kasama natin tinuturo yan. And, naririyan din yung analysis of external influences. Dapat ay makita rin ng mga guro at mag-aaral na bagamat itinuturo natin ito, anong nangyayari sa environment? Baka ito ay hindi tugma sa ating tinuturo na dapat maturuan natin yung bata. Paano siya ngayon magre-react dito sa external influences nito? Accessing authoritative information. Sino? Saan dapat kumuha? Anong ahensya ang tama ang mga impormasyon at panggagalingan ng mga nalalaman nila o nakukuha nilang impormasyon? Sapagkat maraming kabataan, may tendency sila na maniwala sa kung ano ang binibigay sa kanila kahit hindi naman gusto. Effective communication. Dapat din ay ma-practice nila. If they want to say no with their partner, they should mean no. Responsible decision making. Yan. CSE is about decision making. It's about life skills. At napaka-importante na makapag-desisyon sila para sa kanilang sarili. Na po, self-management, paano nila dadalhin ang kanilang mga sarili, goal setting, ano ba yung pangarap nila, tinaharap na gusto nilang makamit, and advocacy. So hindi lamang sapat na malaman nila ito, but ang pinakamalaking bahagi ng CSE ay maging advocate din sila. Hindi lang ang mga guro ang CSE advocate, but even the students would also advocate against abuses, against HIV/AIDS, para labanan ito, okay, at STIs, kasama yan. So, ito yung tunguhin natin, na maging sila mismo ay maging impluensya para ma-empower yung iba pang kabataan at malaman yung tinatawag natin comprehensive sexuality education. So, ulitin ko po, ang comprehensive sexuality education ay hindi lamang tungkol sa mga bahagi ng katawan at masiselang bahagi ng katawan, yung ating reproductive organ. But it is a holistic development of students that focus on respect, protection, that recognizes others, that is responsible, and it has a positive attitude towards sexuality. Yan po yung gusto natin makamit. Ano po? Now, makikita natin na iyan po ay nakakalat across grade levels at different disciplines. Totaling 189 competencies. Grade 3 po, my body, myself. Yan. So naka-focus yung knowledge about body, gender, values, family, friends, peers, intimacy, reproduction, body rights, discrimination, bullying. Yung skills naman po ay basic body care, saying no, and having trusted adults. Ang gusto natin ituro sa bata, pag hindi kilala, syempre dapat ay hindi makipag-usap, hindi sumama, at hindi tumanggap ng bagay mula sa hindi kakilala. Ano po? And the attitude, of course, is positive attitude, expressing emotion, including love and kindness. Dapat ay maipahayag niya. Paano ba ipinapahayag din ito? Dapat matutunan niya rin yan. Respectful and loving, positive attitude, sensitivity and respect. No? Bagamat nakatuon sa kanyang sarili, makikita natin na ito'y nakatuon sa sarili pero may pagkiling pa rin at pagtingin sa iba pang mga tao sa pamagitan ng pagrespeto at pagpapakita ng emosyon. Pagmamahal, of course. No? Sensitivity and respect. Sa grades 4 to 6 naman, diyan na pumapasok yung changes in puberty. Nagsisimula na rin yung ating SOGI, sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression. We have the family, friends, peers, sexual relations, na tatalakay na rin ng teen pregnancy, pregnancy prevention, STI, HIV, discrimination. And the skills, we need to have positive attitude, respect for body differences, love of self, acceptance of others. Ano yung attitude na naasahan natin? Girls and boys explain fertility period. Yan. Pinag-uusapan na, no? Wala pa lang doon sa grades 4 to 6. Ano ba yung fertility period? At bakit mahalaga na maintindihan nila ito? Dapat ay matalakay natin. Able to assess good and bad effects of on self of relationships. Ano yung mga positibo at negatibong magiging epekto ng pagkakaroon ng relasyon. Sa mga kabataan, nakikita natin na kapag sila ay nagsisimula magka-crush, umibig, naligawan, at nagsimula ng relasyon, talaga namang very inspired. Pero eventually, kapag nagkakalabuan na, lumalabas na rin yung mga suliranin, nawawalan ng motibasyon ng mga kabataan. So, we hope to address this with comprehensive sexuality education. At normal lang po yun na maramdaman niya. Bagamat normal lamang ito na maramdaman niya, tayong mga guro ay naririto para patnubayan po siya. Ano po? Communicating needs and boundaries, assertiveness, building, access to information, abstinence and condom. So dito na natin sinisimulang i-introduce yung ating mga contraceptives, abstinence and condom. Now let me reiterate that the Department of Education would really want us to teach abstinence among our learners. Pero kung hindi talaga mapigilan, then we have to teach them the concept of contraceptives. Ano po? Abstinence, ibig sabihin kung kaya naman pigilan, kung kayang i-delay yung sexual intercourse, hanggat maaari ay i-delay. No? Kung hindi man, ay safe sex naman, para maingatan yung kanilang sarili laban sa early pregnancy. Okay? Kung ako po ang tatanungin, bilang guro, of course, I prefer abstinence to teach my students hanggat maaari. No? Kasi nga, there is always a right time for everything and there is a right person. Na yun po yung ituro natin sa kanila. Access to adults and health. So dapat ay sa edad na ito, ang mga magulang, ang mga nakatatanda, ang mga guro ay bukas na rin na nakikipag-usap sa mga learners natin. So ito po yung ating naisa na maisama doon po sa knowledge, skills, and development of kindergarten. So, 6 na learning areas po yan. Na sana ay talagang mabigyang pansin ng ating mga guro sa Bay District. Talagang tayo po ay magkaroon ng implementation fidelity na tinatawag. What is implementation fidelity? Tayo po, yung implementation fidelity, yung ating loyalty towards the implementation. Talagang buong puso po nating implement yan. At nakakalungkot kasi kung may kasamahan tayong guro dito na nakikinig ngayon sa ating CSE, pero hindi naman po 100% ang kanyang puso sa pag-advocate. Nakakalungkot yun. Kaya po, muli ang panawagan po ng Department of Education, particularly ng Central Office, that we will have the implementation fidelity na talaga pong isasagawa natin ang ating bahagi para matulungan ang ating mga kabataan na maunawaan ang comprehensive sexuality education. At paano po ba ito sinimplify? So we cluster the core topics. We identify the values, emotion, and life skills appropriate for the core topics. We have the most critical life skills relevant to learners. So yan po, ang sabi ko nga, this is life skills. CSE is life skills. It is about life skills. Mahalaga po ito. Identify evaluation methods. And develop core message per standards sa K-12 curriculum. Let's start with kindergarten. Sa kindergarten po, ang kanyang paksa sa K-12 ay pagpapahalaga sa sarili. At sa CSE naman, mapapansin natin, ito ay identify personal values and show positive values. Yan. So na po, so makikita natin na iniaangkla natin mula dun sa ating K-12 competency, yung CSE. So, syempre, pagpapahalaga sa sarili, that's personal values. Mahalagang ma-identify nila iyon at mahalaga rin na magpakita sila ng positive values. Sa araling panlipunan naman, this is for grade 1, pagkilala sa sarili, yung K-12 standard. Pero yung concept rather. At dito, ang K-12 competency ay ilarawan yung physical na katangian at masabi yung sariling pagkakakilanlan sa iba't ibang paraan. So yung CSE, they will describe their body parts using proper names, show positive attitudes, explain body differences and growth, show respect for differences and growth. Nakita niyo po, no? So, naturally blended siya, no? Yung paksa natin sa K-12 ay likas din na ginamit natin at makikita natin na tugma doon sa ating CSE standard. For grade 3, napahalaga iba't ibang pangkat ng tao sa lalawigan at rehiyon. Yung CSE, acceptance of peers from different backgrounds, na demonstrate ways of relating with family, friends, with dignity and respect. Describe peers, healthy relationships. So, pasok pa rin siya kasi makikita natin, show acceptance of peers from different backgrounds. Iba't ibang pangkat ng tao at kinikilala natin yung pagkakaiba-iba. So, for grade 6, nasusuri ang mga kontemporaryong issue ng lipunan. At kung titingnan natin doon sa CSE, gender equality is actually a contemporary issue. Kasama na rin yung media, mass media, personal values, attitudes. So pasok po yung ating mga issues doon sa CSE, papunta po doon sa K-12. So kaya hindi po tayo mahihirapan mag-integrate kasi naturally blending yung ating CSE standards.